Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of the Cold Country Podcast, where we discuss everything WVU sports. I'm your host, Ian McIntyre. Joining me on the show, as always, Tyler Cobb, Matt Howe, and Max Remy behind the camera. Gentlemen, how are we today?
I'm happy to be here. How are you?
I'm swell.
It's a great day to be alive.
For you?
For me, at least. Listen,
hopefully.
Before we get into anything, I didn't get the memo that we were dressing up. Okay?
Oh, we look great. We look great.
We
Me
look
and
great.
Matt.
Y'all look.
And
y'all,
Jit's dressed up,
Jit-
too.
Jit's
Max
got
looking,
the-
Max
I
looking
always
good
look
back
good.
there.
Jit's
I
got
feel
the nice
jolly.
corduroy jacket on.
I feel jolly.
Jolly. It's that time of year.
Jit is a model for corduroy.
So I'm sitting here in my sweats, and they're all dressed up because they got a fancy dinner date to go to, apparently.
With Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're meeting up with him tonight.
Well,
we got-
technically for them, it would be today.
That's
It
true.
will be today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Catch us on the show, maybe.
Well,
Maybe.
He'll probably invite us up. Why wouldn't he?
that's a great.
I would love to.
The,
I don't think so, but maybe.
We're on the forefront of Mountaineer sports news, so.
Yeah, so we're recording on Thursday. Press conference is tomorrow. We got to promote the pod
Yeah.
somehow at the press conference. Anyway, going off of that,
Talk about a promotion.
talking about the elephant in the room. Rich Rodriguez has been named the official head coach of the West Virginia Mountaineer football team.
Welcome to the Big 12.
Welcome home, Rich Rod. I'm happy. I don't think you're happy. I don't know about you.
I'm pretty happy.
Max says he's happy.
I'll tell you right now why I'm indifferent right now. I'm very happy for the school. The school has had a lot of publicity because of this. The fact that McAfee today, we're recording on Thursday, the fact that McAfee opened up his show today with the Rich Rod announcement and has been hyping it up probably for like half an hour, 45 minutes worth of showtime. Fantastic. He's bringing the show back to Morgantown once again. They're serving beer at the Coliseum during the press conference.
10:30 in the morning.
At 10:30 in the morning, we're going to be boozing. And in terms of money, we can have discussions about this later. But in terms of finances, it's also a fantastic thing. Our donors wanted to see this happen. And while they said there wasn't a lot of pressure behind Ren Baker for this decision, I feel like regardless, we're getting really good financial compensation. So from that standpoint, I'm very happy with the hire. But if you would like to now dive into the why you're happy with Rich Rod from a football perspective, as well as maybe what I talked about already.
Okay. Well, I gave my list on the last week's episode. It was Jimbo, Rich, and then Andy Kotelnicki. I do think up until whenever it was that Andy Kotelnicki said he was pulling his name out of the hat, essentially, I think he was Ren's number one choice. And it was strictly down to he wanted to coach in the playoffs, whereas Ren wanted him to be able to come here now.
For the portal.
Yeah, like portal recruiting. Just he wanted him to get a head start on everything, whereas Andy K wanted to go and through the playoffs with Penn State. I know he was your first choice, I believe.
He was.
And I would have been happy with Andy Kotelnicki, even though I had Rich ahead of him. The main reason I'm happy is, A, like we have said previously, he was only making about $1 million, just over $1 million at Jacksonville State. So he was an affordable guy that has Power 4 experience. I know everybody's going to say, oh, okay, it's the nostalgia aspect that's making everybody want him back, or that Ren was pressured into it by donors. No. Ren Baker is going to make his own decisions. There were still other people available outside of Rich Rod that were not Rich Rod. Jeff Munkin being one of them. Dan Mullen just got announced being hired at UNLV for you guys yesterday, but for us today. So there were still other guys out there, but he picked Rich because he thinks that he's the best option that is available, and I agree, because he has that Power 4 experience. He has that winning experience, and he just has that like hard-nosed football edge to him. Like, it is way past time, and I tweeted this out, it is way past time that we have a head coach that can get our players into the mentality of we're not here to lollygag on the field. We're here to have a fist fight with every team we play and go give it our all until the last second of every single game, and I think he brings that with him.
Yeah, I think he does, and we've been missing that from the early days of Holgerson. I feel like as the years went on with Holgerson, he got a little soft from that perspective. But I think that's going to be a good thing for our team is the mentality. And I will side with the Power 4 experience. It's harder for me to see the differences in football between the eras.
Yeah.
What is it, 17 years of difference we're talking since he was here?
Yeah.
Like with basketball, I'm a basketball guy. You can see differences in the game 17 years ago compared to now. At least I can. It's harder for me to see that with football, but I don't know how much that's going to play into his coaching ability. That I'm interested to watch that.
It's definitely not going to be the same. But what I hate is that the people against Rich Rod, some of them are saying that he has not been successful since that 2001 to 2007 stint he had at West Virginia. That's where I disagree a lot. I will say, yes, he did not have much success at Michigan, but if you look at the Michigan tenure, they didn't let him run the program he wanted to, or the way he wanted to. That's one thing. Secondly, they got better every year he was there. It just was slowly paced. 2008 they went 3-9. 2009 they went 5-7. In 2010 they went 7-6. And then I believe in 2011, with the guys that Rich had recruited, they had an 11-win season, if I can figure that out. But he had a successful. It wasn't as successful, sorry, at Michigan. But again, context is important. And then if you look at Arizona, yes, it wasn't great. It wasn't near the tenure he had at West Virginia. But if you look at Arizona's, results prior to him being there, it was even worse. So really he improved Arizona as a school, and that's in a very tough Pac-12 conference. He had 2 7-win seasons, 2 8-win seasons, and a 10-win season, all in a 6-year stretch. So 5 of his 6 were 7+ wins, one of them being a 10, and he went 3-2 in bowl games. He had them in a bowl game all but 1 year. All but 1 year.
Did you want to?
No, you're
good. Okay. I wouldn't say his tenure after West Virginia has been a failure. I'm not gonna go that far because I think it was middle of the road, and the reason people see it as a failure is because it is such a letdown from what he had with us. And that's where the nostalgia factor comes in for a lot of people that don't know football. So that's why you see people getting upset on social media over this hire, is because of the people who were like, yeah, bring him home. This is so awesome. He's going to lead us back to the national championship contention, which I hope he does. But he needs to prove that to me because he fell down the ranks. He fell out of the Power 5. Now, whatever caused that, like you were saying, Michigan didn't allow him to run the program like he wanted to, which I could see. But how much of that came down to him too, because it wasn't just the school. That's what I want to figure out, what happened there in the collective. Arizona had that 10-win season, and they went 3-2 in bowls. Were you saying that, or was that with Michigan too?
No, so Michigan, he only made it to one bowl, and it was his last season there. And they lost it. It was the Gator Bowl. At Michigan, he went 3-2 at bowls, won the New Mexico Bowl, the Advocare. These names are getting out of hand, man. We got the Cheez-It Bowl now. What is this?
The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl.
Advocare V100 Bowl he won.
Never even heard of them.
And he won the New Mexico Bowl again. So he won those 3 and then lost the Fiesta Bowl in 2014 and then lost the Foster Farms Bowl in 2017.
The Fiesta Bowl is a big one, but that was their 10-win season.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. I'm not sure where the imbalance is. Like I was saying, how much of it was the school, how much of it was him, how much of it was his players. I don't know. That's why I've now adapted the mentality of he wasn't the guy that I wanted. I was really on the Kotelnicki train, but the disagreement was understandable. So now we have Rich Rod. We got to ride with him. The true fans, if you disagree with the hire, that's fine, but you should still support the team. I've seen a lot of people saying that, oh, they're just going to stop supporting West Virginia because we made the worst hire possible. I'm like, first of all, keeping Neil Brown would have been the worst decision to make. So,
Yeah, even if you don't like Rich.
yeah, even if you don't like Rich Rod, keeping Neil Brown would have been far worse. You just have to support the team, like regardless of your belief, because there's a little bit of me that has hope for Rich Rod. Now, I think it's going to take longer than people are expecting to get to 9-win seasons, 10-win seasons. I think it's going to be a while.
This is strictly because I think the Big 12 is so wide open. I said ceiling in year one is around 10 wins. Ceiling. Not what I'm expecting. What I'm expecting is around 7 or 8 wins, and then a floor of around 5 or 6. Simply because, A, we have a very easy non-conference next year. We play Ohio, Pitt at home, and I think Robert Morris at home.
Robert Morris is the season opener.
Yeah, Robert Morris. So we have a really easy. That should be the Pitt game. We don't know yet, but should be 3 wins to open the season.
I think with the momentum behind everything, we're going to win the Pitt game. Regardless of schematics and whatever else. Because will it be the first time that Rich Rod has played Pitt since 2007? Is it going to be the first time? Because I don't think Michigan, Arizona, or Jax State would have played him.
I don't think so. I'll find out if anybody else wants to talk for a minute.
This Pitt game for Rich Rod is going to be legacy defining.
Do you know what date it is on?
No.
It is his first game against a Power 4 opponent back in Morgantown. It is on September 13th. 9/13.
Now, what is the significance of 9/13?
That's the score.
Oh, yeah.
the
December
game.
1st, 2007. That was the score.
Okay. That's a little weird. But
It's meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to win it on momentum alone. But I'm interested to see how he handles the Big 12 schedule. I don't quite remember what our conference schedule next year looks like. But with a league that has a lot more parity than people were expecting, and I see that trend continuing next year, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. He's never played. This will be his first game against Pitt since then.
Okay.
It's going to be a fun one.
I do think it's anybody's conference still. Like, preseason, a lot of people thought Utah was going to come in and wipe. They thought Arizona would come in and wipe. Like you said, everyone starts on the same level playing field. I thought Oklahoma State was going to have a great year, and that was completely off base. So it's totally within reason for him to come in and have a great season. But at the same time, it could totally go the other way, and that would still be reasonable just based on what we've seen from all these teams. I think it's anybody's conference. You got to really fight to do well, and he definitely seems like a coach who could do that.
I don't want to do we'll do this later in the summer, way too early schedule predictions, but non-conference we already talked about, Robert Morris, Ohio, Pitt. I'm going to chalk those up as wins, even the Pitt game. I think we were better than Pitt this year with worse coaching. At Arizona State's going to be tough. They're going to be about the same team they were this year. That's going to be a tough game. At BYU, kind of the same situation. A lot of returning pieces, I believe. Tough place to play BYU. That one's up in the air. Houston, they just got Connor Wigman from Texas A&M again. Like you said, it's just so up in the
all
air.
away games?
It's just because they haven't been scheduled yet.
I see.
Yeah.
See.
So,
Okay.
at Kansas, Jalen Daniels trying to get another year of eligibility. I believe he did. So they'll have him back. Another up in the air game. So you've got 4 that are basically coin toss games. At UCF, I think you win even with their new hire of Scott Frost. I think that's his name. Utah, I'm gonna say is a win, even though they just got the quarterback's name escapes my mind, but they just got a quarterback from New Mexico.
And they could have Cam Rising come back again.
Yeah, yeah.
That's possible.
Colorado's losing their 2 stars, and then Tech and TCU are kind of just coin flips as well. So a very wide open schedule.
I agree. And as the offseason progresses, we're going to get a better idea of how good these teams are and how good we are. So
I want to ask you to this because you weren't a fan of the hire, even though you're still going to support the team.
right.
Again, I don't know your thoughts if you want to give him real quick, but what does he need to say tomorrow morning for you guys today for you to hop on the train a little bit more than you are?
So in terms of am I a fan? I'm not a fan. I don't think it's a bad choice, but I really just want something better than what we've been getting. And he's definitely shown that he is, in an upper tier of coaches compared to what we've had. If you look at his record just at the school, which I just had up here, the only coaches we've had with more wins have been Dana Holgerson and Don Nealon. Holgerson had an extra year and twice as many losses, just about, and Don Nealon coached for 20 years. So he's definitely done a lot with this team before. Obviously,
He's from here. He's an alumni. He played safety for us. I think it was safety with the Nealon teams.
yeah,
and
and
Tony-
he was an assistant for Nealon as well back in the day. So, the connections. I think the connections are important, but at the same time, do they really matter? I think what really matters is what you go out and do, and I think we just have to wait and see. But I'm excited because you have an opportunity to do something different. We needed a change, and I think this could be a good one. But you have to wait and see. Now, I think in terms of what he should come out and say is, "We're back, baby. Let's go out and do it." I don't. In terms of getting people into it, you really have to build it up. You don't want to walk in and say, "Well, let's all just sit back and watch, and we'll see what happens." And that's I think that's the reasonable thing. That's how I look at everything. But in terms of getting people behind you, that doesn't work. You need to go out and say, "We're gonna hit the ground running. We're gonna take off, and we're gonna come out and go." You probably don't make a record prediction tomorrow.
No,
for
don't.
next year.
Bad idea.
But you want to hit the ground running. We're gonna work hard. We're gonna kick butt. I think that's what he needs to do to rally the troops, so to speak.
See, when I asked the question, I mean specifically about what happened in 2007. Okay, the pit loss and the way he proceeded to leave to Michigan after. Because for this to work, some people are going to say that he needs to just throw that in his back pocket, forget it ever happened, and move on. I wholeheartedly disagree.
Yeah, I think
What-
there's two ways to
He
do it.
needs to play this as if it's a redemption story.
But now I will say, I went back and he had an interview when he was leaving Michigan, I think, where they asked him "Hey, do you regret leaving Morgantown?" And he said, "Well, it's easy with hindsight to say that was a mistake, but it already happened. What can you do about it?" Paraphrasing, obviously, but that was like 14 years ago.
17.
No, 17 when he left, but that was 14 years
14
ago
with the-
after
yeah.
leaving Michigan. It's run its course in that sense. Do I think you could address it? Sure, but we're closing in on 20 years since that's happened.
The only reason I feel like he needs to do it, not for me, though, and not for the students, because the students are hyped up enough already off of the homecoming. I think he needs to do it for the loyal fans that have supported this team their whole lives for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
He needs to do it for them because he brought them the golden age of West Virginia football.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he left was totally uncalled for.
Yeah.
I understand why he wanted to leave because there were those conversations about needing extra money the year before. And I forget our AD at the time who that
I
was.
can't think of his name.
But
I heard that there were issues between him and the AD, and that might have helped him get out, so to speak.
That was definitely the issue. I think he asked for $50,000 extra to pay his assistants, and he got turned down flat out. Over $50,000, where we had shared Big East titles the previous seasons, which is a little egregious. So I understand the animosity towards the school a little bit at that time, but whenever he was rumored to be,
Ed passed along.
huh?
Ed passed along. Was
And,
the AD.
okay. whenever he was rumored to be interviewing for the Alabama job at the time, I think it was, before they hired Saban, he completely denied it and said, no, I'm not interviewing for anybody. And the next year, the same thing happens. Like, hey, I hear you're interviewing for the Michigan job. It's like, no, I'm not. And he left. And I wouldn't say it's comparable to him and Jack State, but Jack State people, media personnel, did ask him, are you interviewing for this West Virginia job? And he said, no, I'm not.
Well,
I'm not doing it. But I'm not sure if that's his personality trait. When
lying.
Yeah. I just think he needs to apologize for what he did there for the diehard fans, but also address that he's here to stay.
The Jacksonville State thing, I think, is kind of funny because it was a play on words. He had a virtual interview previous to that question. I'm like 90% sure. And then they asked him that question. It was like, do you have any interview scheduled later this week? And he's like, no, because he didn't. He had already had it.
You also, it's more nuanced than that. You want to be a little discretionary. You don't want to upset the season that you're currently in the job you're currently in. Like, you don't want to mess everybody up and how you're doing, right? And isn't their bowl game tomorrow?
No. Ours opens up bowl season, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Are we the first bowl game?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure when theirs is. I thought theirs was pretty early on in the bowl season.
Typing quick.
Oh my goodness, man. I tell you what. Here's my I asked it because, again, no matter what happens going forward, you're still going to have that couple people. If you just say sorry and throw it away, what happened? You're going to, let's say you go and win. You're going to still have those couple people that are saying, okay, but you did this, so does it matter? I wholeheartedly believe he needs to fully embrace the redemption arc, essentially. Like, I messed up. Okay? I should have never done that. I should have never left you. I don't know if you would openly come out and blame yourself for that pit loss. Okay? There was a lot of factors, but...
It wasn't just him.
Yeah, it wasn't just him. But as far as the whole leaving, it was like, I should have never left home. That's 100% on me, but I'm here to make it right.
Mm-hmm.
And fully embrace, righting your wrongs. Lay it out in front of everybody. Because that way, if he goes out and he wins for this team, because I think this is his last coaching spot. He's 62. If he's here for 4, 5, 6 years, he'll be 67-ish. It'll probably be his last coaching spot. If he either A, gets fired here or does good enough to stay here and retire, I don't think he takes another job. So embrace righting the wrongs. Don't put it away in your back pocket and forget about it. Jit, what do you think? Do you think he needs to address the whole 2007 situation?
I feel like it's a mixed bag, I feel like he could, he could go straight for it and just address everything, like, address the elephant in the room, because in all honesty, if you get the worst part about anything out of the way at the beginning, like, you don't you have a plate in front of you and you have like fried chicken and mashed potatoes and biscuits, and then you have broccoli. Like, you eat the broccoli first,
I like that analogy.
That's pretty good.
Even if you like broccoli, it's just like you really want to eat the mashed potatoes, So I feel like, yes, he could go that route and address anything in the room, address what happened. Or what he could do is he could go in like guns blazing tomorrow and be like, I'm back. Yeah, let's do this, and just hype everything up, and then give an address about it, like, at a later date.
In my opinion, he should do both.
I honestly...
He does need to come in guns a-blazing, I think.
That's the only way he's going to rally the troops. Like, if he just shows up, it's like, hey, how you guys doing? Stuff like that. No, you don't do that. Like, if I was in his place, I'd be like, what's up, everybody? You gotta hype everything up. You can't just walk in and be like, hey, guys, I'm your new head coach. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
But I'd say by the fact that they're selling beer at 10:30 in the morning and Pat McAfee's going to be in there shirtless.
In the Coliseum. It's going to be electric.
It's going to be crazy. So I don't see how he could come out onto the press conference stage and just be like, football. No, he's not going to do that.
He needs to take the Dan Remy approach.
Speaking of, didn't you say he looks like your dad?
He looks like
Dan.
eerily like my dad.
He does,
and it makes me like low key uncomfortable.
We gotta,
you know, like
we got to flash pictures up for the audience.
I'll send some pictures of my dad.
I was gonna say you need to send us pictures and make sure it's okay with your dad if we put him on.
No, I'm sure he'd
on
be down
Picture.
with that. Not gonna lie, he'd think that's funny as hell.
Speaking of which, I don't know if we can show the film, but Ren Baker getting on the plane today to go pick Rich Rod up looked fire. Dude,
The whole fit.
the whole fit. The
I didn't
jacket,
see it. I'm gonna look it up.
The jacket that he had on, I would pay $500 for that jacket.
He wears it all the time.
He
too.
may have paid $500.
Oh, it is so good. He paired it with the Jordans too.
Man, he has a lot of fits, man.
Yeah.
He's drippy, like
I
you
mean-
all today, man. Spiffed up.
Oh, that is a nice jacket.
See, yeah, we got to show it. To
Come
the
on now.
audience. Man.
So, we're going on about 30 minutes talking about the new hire. I think we can kind of end it here, and we got a long summer ahead of us. So
Yeah, we'll continue talking about it the entire off season. So
the only thing I want to address before we move on, what should expectations be for year one?
year one, I have us going to a bowl game at 6-6. I mean,
I think that's reasonable.
Way too early record predictions, but I haven't dived into anything yet. This is off the top of the dome, considering if he's any normal coach who's coming into their Power 4 job, they shouldn't be expected to do too much. So I think 6-6 is very reasonable.
You may go or you?
You go ahead.
Okay. I'm looking at it. Again, I don't want to do the whole way too early schedule predictions, so I'm not going to go game by game or anything. But like I said, I wholeheartedly expect us to win those 3 games, no matter who the coach is. You have a really easy non-conference schedule. That's 3 wins right there. You play 9 conference games, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that you have a losing record. So my expectations in year one is a 7-5 record. Win your 3 non-conference and at least 4 of your conference games, and I think you will have the fan base on board a little bit to say, hey, maybe we can go somewhere with this.
I think I'm with Ian. I think you win at least half your games and get a bowl game in. And I think that's reasonable.
What if he does what his first year here was in 2001? He went 3-8.
Well, he did 3-9 at Michigan his first year too. So, and then what did he do at Arizona?
Arizona
was
8-5.
Well,
And then Jack State was 9-4. So,
who had he coached for in 2000, or was he an assistant?
I just
You'd
had
have
it
to
up.
look it up. I don't know. I thought you were going to ask after the Arizona. I know he was an OC at Ole Miss at one point and something at ULM.
He was offensive coordinator and quarterback for Clemson before he came back here as head coach.
Okay, so I mean I don't think it's going to be 3-9. I think that was his first ever head coaching gig was with us, right,
Yeah.
in 2001. So 3-9 still I would think it would be a little below expectations in 2001, but our team wasn't great either. I not too long ago watched Pac-Man Jones highlights. Funny enough, watching those teams.
Him? When was it? Wednesday night? Tuesday night?
Actually,
That was funny.
something I'm seeing here. At 25 years old, in 1988, he took over as head coach at Salem. He was the youngest college head coach in the country. Went 2-8. Afterwards, the college dropped its football program. I don't think they dropped the program because of that season. I think it was on the way out.
He was also head coach at Glenville State.
I knew he was at Glenville, but I didn't know if it was right before or not.
Glenville in 90 through 96.
Look at this elite ball nose
and he
over
was
here.
successful.
Thanks,
at Glenville.
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. Have you seen that? Oh, is it Henry Cavill? Is that who did it? You're using Wikipedia as your source.
I don't think he sounds like that, does he?
Yeah, he's British, I think.
Yeah, but he doesn't sound like that.
Well, that's because I'm doing a bad attempt at a British accent.
You wish you were British.
I do.
You wish you were Henry Cavill.
I'm not going to disagree with that either.
No. All I'm saying is is I don't want to be British. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's
I get behind that.
I like being an American.
America, how do you feel about this statement?
I appreciate being American.
You can appreciate
He's a true
the red,
patriot.
white, and blue.
He's a true patriot.
Yep.
Well, for all of our audience, let us know what you think about the coaching hire. We'd love to hear your comments.
Regardless of how you feel, welcome home, Rich. Welcome home. Let's go win some football games.
Hopefully, I'm rooting for him. All right, so should we move on to talk a little bit about the playoff picture? Or actually, before we start with the playoffs, I know we wanted to bring up the Ohio
Oh my goodness.
flag planting controversy. We can talk about this a little bit.
Dude, so I don't even remember who the government official was that did it, but there is now a legislature out there that states that you're not allowed to plant a flag in the middle of Ohio Stadium, and it's considered a felony now because the world is soft.
So this is from the AP. Representative Josh Williams said on Wednesday he's introducing a bill to make flag planting in sports a felony in the state of Ohio. I think that is ridiculous.
Called the Ohio Sportsmanship Act.
I think it's ridiculous. Behavior, this is a quote from Williams. Behavior that incites violent brawls and puts our law enforcement officers in danger has no place on the football field.
So it's Ohio's fault, not Michigan, because didn't Ohio start the fight?
Ohio did
Michigan
start the fight.
Michigan planted the flag. That doesn't mean they had to come out and punch Michigan in the mouth.
Ohio did start the fight. The only kudos that I will give the representative is the fact that, yes, it starts fights. It's meant to start fights.
But that's
whenever
what
you do that sort of
rivalries
thing.
are.
But that's what I was going to get to because it happens. Like, it is a part of sports. It will always be a part of sports. And you can't all of a sudden say, oh, now that your team lost and got mad, that it's wrong.
Well, I like what Michigan's quarterback said about it. It was like, if Ohio didn't want that to happen, they should have done something about it in the game.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, don't
that's
lose,
true.
okay?
Honestly, I thought it was so funny whenever the guy from Michigan was interviewed, and he's like, man, that has no place in our game. Like, some people just need to learn how to lose. I thought that was so
if
funny.
Pitt were to come plant a Pitt flag on the Flying WV at the center of Milan Pushkar, yeah, I'd be mad. But
fans are probably going to crack glass beer bottles and go down onto the field and probably try to incite
maybe
a
20
riot.
years.
I would be mad, but it's not like I want the state of West Virginia to implement a flag planting ban just
Right.
because my rival put a flag on the field.
Now, I think Baker Mayfield said it really
Actually,
well.
who I was going to say.
He said, OU, Texas does it every time they play. It's not special. Take the L and move on. That is exactly right.
Yep.
If you don't want that to happen, win the game.
I will say that's coming
Right?
through from the most ruthless college football quarterback.
I like
he
it.
was crazy.
I like it.
His game
But that's
versus
what you-
Kansas is
I like
funny.
it. You need that fight in you. You know.
I agree.
That's what makes college football. Is the pageantry, tradition, and rivalries.
Yeah. If you want to go play flag football, they have that. They have that now.
Yeah, get out of here, you softies. Ohio State.
Softies.
I'm rooting for Tennessee all the ways. Go Vols. Beat them to the ground.
Man, Oregon, my preseason pick, man. This is a good segue.
They're still in. Yeah, let's
This
go
is-
straight
This is
into
a
it.
good segue. Yeah, speaking of Oregon #1 seed, and they're going to have to play either the 8 or 9 seed, which that game is Tennessee and Ohio State. So
Can we make a bracket?
What do you mean make a bracket?
Let's let's do our bracket picks. I want to do the bracket picks.
I thought you wanted to pick one round at a time.
let's do
Let's do one round at a time then.
Well, then we don't pick them till next Friday.
Look, but before we pick,
I'm excited.
I am too, but
If you
slow
couldn't
your
tell.
roll a little
If
bit.
you couldn't tell.
Before we pick, let's talk about SMU and Alabama.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about the whole playoff because this is just a load of crap.
So you hear people online crying both directions. Me personally, I think SMU does deserve to be in over Alabama. Although I think it was Nick Saban came out and said, "What do you think the spread on that game is, and who should really be in?" And I think that's a fair point. But Alabama just really has underperformed from what they were expected to do, and SMU obviously has way outperformed what everyone was thinking. So,
Oklahoma kept Alabama out.
oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But Alabama kept Alabama out. You did not go out and win the games that you should have won.
No, well, so what I found, this was golden. This is beautiful wordplay. Okay, this is like Eminem, Drake, Kendrick, Kanye level wordplay. Okay, somebody tweeted out. I don't remember who it was. It was like if SMU had an SEC schedule, they would be a 500 team. And there was a response that said, "Okay, so they should beat Alabama 24-3 then." Because Oklahoma was a 500
Yeah, exactly
team.
right.
Like, come on. So I have a lot to say. So I'm going to let you all go
Well,
first.
we were just talking about our 2007 season. You're 11-1, and then you lose, and you're out. And obviously now you're just opening it up, and there's a lot more people that get in to fight for the championship spot. That doesn't mean you just get in just because you're a decent team most of the time. Like they went out there and fell flat on their face over and over and over again. Even in the game against Georgia where they ended up winning, they literally took a nap in the middle of the game and let Georgia come back. And I thought Georgia was going to end up winning till the very end. If you look at that game, that just sums up their whole season, really. And I mean that was early on, but that just it showed what was coming down the road.
Like they barely skate by type thing.
I think the SMU decision was the right decision.
I agree.
Okay. The problem is what happens after the fact. Okay. The seeding is horrid. Yes, I do think that Arizona State and Boise State deserved those byes, but at the same time, it totally screws up the seeding. If you look at Oregon's path to the playoff, they are likely going to have I think Tennessee wins the first game, but let's say either one of them does. It doesn't matter. They have to play Ohio State and Tennessee in the second round. They will likely have to play Texas in the third round, and then they're going to have to play the national champion in the fourth round. That is way harder as the 1 seed than Penn State, who they just beat, has to play SMU in round 1, Boise State in round 2. All they're missing is a first-round bye, but they play 2 way easier teams than Tennessee, Ohio State, or Texas.
That's my problem with this system because you can clearly see it does not pay to be the 1 seed.
No,
It
at
doesn't
all.
pay to be the 1 seed.
And I think we said it earlier. It was like, if you're Notre Dame, you are in the perfect setup because you're independent, so you can schedule a bunch of weak nobodies, and as long as you go 12-0, you have the Notre Dame brand, so you're in. Let's schedule 12 armies, 6 armies, 6 navies.
To be fair, Ohio State's schedule's like that as well.
And the 2 games they had to play. No, wait. They lost the 1 game against a really good opponent, Oregon. They beat the other team that I still think is on fraud watch, Penn State, barely. And then they lost to 6-6 Michigan?
Yep. 7-5 Michigan.
7-5 Michigan. Whatever. Same difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
This
know.
is terrible.
The system's messed up. I am happy, however, the decision to put Arizona State in at number 4. I love that decision.
Yeah. Now, if the SMU-Clemson game had gone the other way, I think they would be number 12 because SMU was ranked higher.
Yeah.
So they'd be the last team in instead.
I know, which, man, it was another one of those things where we were arguing the level of competition, which I will say SMU is nowhere. They have a way harder schedule, in my opinion, than Boise had this year.
I think so.
But it's like, how does the ACC compare to the Big 12? It's another one of those things I'm just not so sure about. And Arizona State, I think, has really proven their worth to deserve a 4 seed.
Well, I mean, if SMU wins that game, Alabama's in the playoff. So I'm kind of glad they didn't.
That's true.
No offense to the Pony Express.
Yeah, I the Pony Express.
No,
That's
no
what
hate
it's
to
called,
Alabama.
man.
No hate to Alabama.
All hate to Alabama.
But I love.
You
to
deserve
see them.
to lose.
They earned their spot.
They're a bunch of crybabies.
That's my
man.
opinion. I think they earned their spot.
They
year.
lost to 2 6-6 teams, won by freaking 24 points. No, 21 points, and they're still crying. Oh, I should have been in the playoff. Shut up. Go home.
Man, he's incensed.
Yeah.
Well, just looking at the rest of the bracket here, some interesting placements. How do we think Boise does?
Natty.
Now, do you think it depends on who they play in their first game?
Boise?
Yeah, 'cause
Nah,
really, I think the
they
Penn
win the
State
first game.
I think the Penn State SMU game could go either way, but I do think Penn State would have a better. I think Penn State would do better against Boise than SMU would.
I think Boise wins no matter who they play in the first round, and then they'll play Georgia in the second round and get the crap.
don't know.
I
I
think
think
they lose to
Boise-
Georgia. That's my take.
So are we making our bracket or not?
No,
No,
no.
we're just
We're
looking.
just stating.
We're just
looking.
looking. So
We're just looking.
For me and Boise, I feel like if SMU beats Penn State, Boise will beat SMU. But if Penn State wins, I think Penn State beats Boise.
I'm on that train. I think. I don't think Georgia makes it to the final game.
I don't like that because
Depending on, it doesn't matter where. Somewhere along the line, they're not making it to the final game.
So you think if SMU beats Penn State, Boise beats the better team, but if
Yeah.
Penn State beats them, they lose to the better team.
That's what I think.
Logic. Boise's winning, man. They're going to the Natty.
They're different.
This is what I want.
They're different teams.
This is what I wanted to talk about. I think this is trash. Okay? I hate the 12-team playoff, and I think it is perfectly. You can see how trash it is by the fact that the team that lost the Big Ten championship has a much easier path than the team that they lost to.
Mm-hmm.
It would be so much easier this year if it was the BCS system.
What about a 16-team playoff where
No.
one plays
No.
16,
No.
two plays 15?
Why are we justifying teams that should not be in the playoff?
I didn't say that.
You're asking for more teams in the playoff.
That's more football to watch.
Well, we want
I don't
more-
care. They don't deserve it.
Well, what about from a parity perspective? Because there are a lot of teams that make the NCAA basketball tournament that don't deserve it.
But basketball is far less chalky than football.
Well, what is your definition of chalky?
The better team wins.
I don't know. We've seen a lot earlier on in this season.
This is a crazy season. This is a 2007 exception season, essentially. The only two teams that should be playing in the Natty right now is Oregon and Georgia. That's what the national championship should be right now. If you did a 14 playoff, it would be so much easier than this 12-team garbage I see on the screen right now. And this is why.
I don't know if I agree with that statement.
This is why.
I think it would be Notre Dame and Oregon then. Just because
What, with Notre Dame's cupcake schedule?
Yeah,
What's the biggest team?
because wins matter.
A&M.
Aren't you wins matter guy?
I do think that wins matter, but Georgia has only one more loss and a far harder schedule. Look up Georgia's strength of schedule and look up Notre Dame's strength of schedule.
I know Georgia's
Georgia's top
basically
five.
number one, isn't it?
Something like that.
Florida's
This
number
is-
one.
the going an invitation to the college football playoff should be a reward for a good season. Not a good season, a great season. Let me re-choose my words there. A great season. Clemson has not had a great season. They're 9-3. Texas has lost to the same team twice. They don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Georgia's strength of schedule is in fact number one.
Arizona State, as much as I love Arizona State, and that's who I'm going to be rooting for because it's good for the Big 12. And I love Cam Scadaboo. They lost to Cincinnati and they lost to Texas Tech. They don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Tennessee lost to Arkansas and Georgia. Two lost. You can maybe argue. Maybe. Ohio State lost to 7-5 Michigan. They don't deserve it. I'll just go out on a limb and say Tennessee doesn't deserve it. Oregon does. SMU, had they not lost to Clemson, would have, but they don't. Boise does. Their literal only losses to the number one team by 3 points on the road. A last-second field goal. So if you had a 14 playoff, it should be, which would be so much better, it would be Oregon, Georgia, Boise, and Notre Dame, in my opinion.
Now, and why do you think 4 is better?
Because you're not rewarding
There's
bad
more parity.
seasons. You're not rewarding bad seasons.
But how is that a reward to
Okay,
just let
let
you
me-
play a game?
So
Like Arizona State's had a bad season, as you're saying.
What is
you're
it?
saying? Are you saying like Arizona State has a bad season?
I shouldn't have said bad.
because they're getting to play.
You are the college football playoff should be a reward for a great season. Arizona State has had a really good season, not a great season.
I disagree with that.
I
They
think-
lost to Cincinnati. That should kick them out of the playoff immediately.
Well, Northern Illinois should kick Notre Dame out of the playoff immediately.
I don't disagree. That's why I said the BCS this year would be so much better because it'd be Oregon versus Georgia.
Georgia just doesn't feel like a championship team.
I still think Georgia could win it.
No, I think
With
they
a
could.
backup quarterback?
He did well.
Let me give my 2 cents
He
on
did
this.
as well as Beck did.
Let me give my 2
That's
cents
not
on this.
wrong.
I think the formatting for the 12-team playoff needs improvement. But do I think it's bad? No. Here's why. Entertainment. Because when you look at it from the school perspective and the ESPN perspective and the television perspective, there is so much more money going around based off of the hype of this system and the amount of schools involved. Now, when you think about it from a player perspective, it's unfair. No doubt.
Don't disagree that it does. It is entertaining. I'm going to watch every single one of these games, and I'm going to be happy watching them because I love the sport of college football. But the playoff should not be based on entertainment. It should be based off of rewarding success.
You were one of the very few people that think that.
That's incorrect.
I
Very many people think that this is
think you're
trash.
misinterpreting how
saying,
you feel.
No, Tyler, I'm saying in terms of people who have a say in this stuff.
Fair enough. Okay. Here's what I think. And you said that this is essentially the same thing, right? The bowl games, the New Year's Six bowl games need to be taken out of the playoff. This would have to go with like a complete overhaul of college football. You would need 6 conferences of the same number of teams that all play the same number of conference games, and then the conference champs get an auto bid. Take the 6 New Year's Six bowl games, take them out of the playoff completely. Have 6 conferences of 12, 10, whatever teams, how many ever you want. Have those 6 conference championships, have an auto bid to the 6 bowls, and then take the 6 highest ranked teams, not a conference champion, that are not conference champions, which would theoretically be the best teams, and match them up in playoff order. So the highest ranked conference champ plays the lowest ranked non-conference champ, essentially. Play the 6 New Year's Six bowls, and then put the 4 highest ranked after that into a playoff. And so I agree that that's essentially the same thing. You have the same number of games. You have the same number of teams. What it does is it doesn't devalue the regular season because you're going to a bowl anyway. What it does for teams like Arizona State, SMU, Indiana, those teams that quote-unquote had way easier schedules, it gives them the opportunity to play against a ranked team and earn their way into the college football playoff by playing a hard, like one of those high-level teams. Not just be offered because of entertainment or they win 11-1 with a really easy schedule.
So basically you're saying just go off the rankings at the end of the season.
No. 6 conference champs and then the rankings.
Okay.
And then but that's what this is anyway. It's just the 12
that's
ranked.
exactly what I was going to say.
But my point is there should not be 12 teams in the playoff.
And you think it should be what, 4, 6?
4 or 6 max.
But the problem then becomes
I don't
with
think it really
this-
matters.
So let's just put
Wait,
everybody in a playoff bracket.
Yeah,
let's
put
have
all 138 or whatever.
We've got 70-ish teams in Power 4. Let's kick out 6 of them and have a 64-team playoff.
Yeah.
You're-
I don't actually think that.
Okay. So what do you think?
I don't mind this. I don't mind what you're saying. I just think more football is better for everyone. I mean, don't you think these guys want to go out and play?
But did they deserve to go out and play? Do they deserve to go out and play?
No, none of these guys have had a bad season.
But
right? Like you said, Penn State's on
okay,
fraud
so
watch.
then we
Like they've had a
we
relatively easy
value
season.
the value we're giving the college football playoff is different. Then you're saying none of them have had bad seasons. I'm saying only a select few have had great
Well,
seasons.
so we've talked about this before. Let's say magically conferences realign. I don't think it'll ever happen where it's perfect.
I don't either.
And then you have the top guys, the top teams from each conference play each other for the championship. I think that would be great.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we agree on that.
Okay.
I just wanted to get it all out of you.
I'm saying, what do you want? What do you?
Well, so how
What
many?
would you change? Because this, I think, is garbage.
I think it's
Nothing
how many
about this
conferences
is
you had.
good.
But then so Notre Dame's independent. Do they not get to play for the championship?
I don't think Notre Dame should be allowed to be independent. And if they are independent, they should not be allowed to have a bid to the playoff. That's Notre Dame's fault. They play a cupcake schedule every single year and get rewarded by it because of their name is Notre Dame.
Yeah, but at the same time, whenever they go in and play, other top teams, they don't get squished.
Why'd they lose to Northern Illinois then?
Everyone has a bad game.
I don't disagree.
I mean, I saw that and was like, I said, football is cooked this year. And that was right after Alabama was losing to South Florida.
So you think
Right.
this is fine? You think everything about this is fine?
That's not what I said.
Okay. What would
And
you
that's
change?
not what I'm saying.
That's what I'm asking.
He's been asking that. What would you change?
What would
I
you
don't know. I
change?
don't know what I would change. I think, like you said, I think conference champs.
But you're
But
fine
what
with
you're-
having 12 teams in the playoff because I'm not. There's not 12 teams that are playoff worthy is my problem.
I agree with Tyler. I would take teams out of it and find a way to make sure that teams below the cut line could either prove themselves to be in it or prove why they shouldn't be in some capacity.
Well, so let's say we did the 4 top conference and then just the next 4 highest ranked instead of 4 and then 8.
Wait, well, say it again.
So like we have now, we have 4 and then the next 8 highest ranked is
So
12.
you're saying the 4 highest ranked conference champs,
And then just the next
and
4
then pit
instead
them
of the
up
next 8.
against the next 4 in the
So you think it should be
rankings.
8 teams instead of 4
Yeah, I mean,
or instead of 12?
do you think that's better? Because you're just cutting
Well,
off.
I think it's better.
Cutting
I don't
some of
think
the
it's
fat, so
I
to
don't think it's
speak.
perfect, but I do think it's better. The problem right now is again, you're devaluing the regular season. College football is great because of the regular season. Ole Miss's best win was against Georgia, and they thought they were going to get a playoff spot at 9-3. Okay, that game does not matter now.
I think
Oregon.
it's not as devalued as you're making it out to be. I think it does devalue it in a sense, but is the college football playoff the only thing that matters at the end of the day? I don't think so.
Okay, let's play it out like this then. Georgia has beaten Texas twice. Once in the regular season and once in the SEC championship. Texas makes a run on the left side of the bracket. Georgia makes a run on the right side of the bracket. They meet each other in the national championship. Do either of those games matter?
Not in the championship.
The only thing that matters in college football playoff to teams now is winning the national championship.
But I disagree with that. I think it matters to these teams who made it in, and it matters to Alabama and Michigan fans. Well, not Michigan fans this year, maybe.
Michigan's just happy they beat Ohio
Happy
State.
to get a bowl game.
I
I don't think it devalues nearly as much.
Texas being in the playoffs completely devalues the regular season because they've already lost twice to a team that's also in the playoffs. If Texas goes on a run to beat everybody on their side of the bracket, including beat Georgia in the national championship, losing to Georgia 2 times before does not matter.
But it doesn't matter in the championship discussion. Still, you have to look back at the whole season and say, they didn't have the season they wanted because they lost to Georgia twice. I'm not saying it doesn't
But
devalue.
they would have the season they wanted because they won the national championship. So those
But
two losses don't
but
matter.
the championship isn't the only part of the season. You're saying that
That's what it leads up to. That's the point of playing the games.
no, but I disagree with that. I think the whole season is
You're
important.
awful quiet over there.
I think
taking
so that's
it.
my question to you, Ian, because Tyler is saying, and excuse me if I'm misinterpreting, but you're saying the playoff and the champion, who's the champion, is the only thing that matters.
That's the only thing that matters right now. That's not how I think it should be.
Well, I think it's not the only thing that matters, and I agree it's not how it should be. But I don't think that's how it is.
Hold on.
What else do you think that matters?
I think your record overall, who you beat, how you beat them. I think all of that's important.
You think if Tennessee goes on to win in the national championship, they're going to be more proud of having a 10-2 regular season record than winning the national championship?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying both are important.
I think no matter the team that goes on to win the national championship, the fact that they've won it outweighs everything they did prior to that.
Okay, well, what about like FSU last year, who had a perfect season? Is that not important because they didn't get to go to the championship game?
It'll
Yeah.
It'll be a forgotten season.
It already is.
It already is a forgotten season.
I just don't think.
From a competitor's perspective, I believe that the national championship is the only thing that will ever matter to the good teams.
Now, if you take a team like West Virginia that is
Well, I think we could definitely agree
the most
that it
winning
means
is,
different things to different people, but I don't think it devalues it whatsoever. Because Michigan is definitely more proud of their undefeated run last
that
year.
was capped with a national championship.
Yeah, but they're more proud of that than any other national championship
think-
they've had.
so let's
because
say-
of the regular season and everything that
Who
went
they play
along
in the
with it.
Natty? Washington.
Yeah,
If Washington beat them, do you think they would have looked back on that season? Yeah, it's not a failure, okay? I'm not saying that season was a failure.
But I thought you're proving my point. The season is important, even if they lose at the end. You have to say, well, we had a good run, yada yada.
But it would not be looked upon nearly the same as it would
That's
have.
because they had an extra game. You're just adding more games when you do the
That's
playoffs.
what I'm saying, is that not all teams deserve to have those extra games. Indiana does not.
I'm still not disagreeing with you. But why not give everyone, maybe not everyone, but why not give teams a chance? And then I guess
Because
really
they
the only
haven't
question,
they haven't earned it.
I think the question here is how many chances do you give out to play for the championship?
12 chances, 12 games in the regular season.
And you don't like it, even though that's what you're saying.
What do you mean? No, not you don't give. That's not what I'm saying. You misinterpreted
Oh,
that.
you're saying
I'm
this is
saying
what we have.
You have 12 chances to make yourself worthy of being a playoff team, and that's
I
the
get you.
12 regular season
get
games
you.
you get. If you fail during those 12
Okay,
regular
so from
seasons,
that-
then you don't deserve to be in the playoff.
Okay, so from that's your work. How many chances, how many spots do you give out to fight for the championship? Do you want to say, let's say it's not a set number.
I think 4 was a perfect number.
You could say it's not a set number. You could say any team who has a 10-2 or better record gets to play in. You know, you could do that however which way you want and set it up where the top team gets the most number of buys, yada yada. You know,
I think there are very rarely more than 4 playoff teams, and that can be proven by the fact that the 10 years that we did have a college football playoff be 4 teams. Was it 10 years? I think it was 10 years.
Since what?
It was 2014 to 24 that we had a college football playoff be 4 teams.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's right. The 10 years that we did have a 4-team playoff, almost every single game that was played in the semifinals or finals, that was worded incorrectly. Every year that we did have one, at least 1 or 2 games that was played in the semifinals or finals was a blowout, implying that that team was not worthy, like not even on the same level. Look at the TCU Michigan run. I'm not saying in 22. I'm not saying TCU did not deserve to play in the Natty or in the college football playoff,
you're
because
saying
they did.
They weren't.
But they were not even close to the level that Georgia was.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Michigan, and I will forever give TCU props for that. Okay, some people say that TCU didn't deserve to be there because Georgia, kicked the crap out of them, but TCU did, and they proved that by beating Michigan in round 1.
You know what my opinion is? I'll give my opinion on what I would like to do. I would like to make it a 4-team playoff again, but instead of just choosing the 4 and rolling with 2 games and then the Natty, I would like to see 6 teams ranked in the playoff board, and you have the top 6 that are ranked at that time. Number 3 plays number 6, number 4 plays number 5. That decides who gets the 3rd and 4th spot in the playoff.
To play 1 and 2.
then we go 1 against 4, 2 against 3.
And then the top.
Yeah, I just wish that that also would have gave Florida State a chance last year if we did it that way. But it also keeps it exclusive enough to prove that you've done enough to earn your chance. That's what I would do.
I'm making noises on my computer. So I'm just playing out a scenario, and we're going to do this. I have been making this for a video we do at a later date. Off season stuff. Mm-hmm. But who would this one? Okay, let's say
I agree.
6 conferences, 12 teams each. I'm not going to go into too much detail because, again, later date. If you do what I had said, take the 6 conference champs and match them up against the next 6th highest ranked. Can you look up the AP poll as of last week? In this world, the 6 conference champs, again, this is totally not, you can't guarantee this because in my world, you would have played different games. Oregon would have won the quote-unquote Pac-12. Clemson, I'm going to still say, would be the ACC champ. Georgia would still be the SEC champ. Ohio State, I'm going to say, would be the Big Ten champ, and Texas would be the quote-unquote Big 12 champ. And then the sixth conference I would have add is the Big East, and Penn State would have won the Big East. Those are your six conference champs, and they would have played the next six highest ranked. So what? Notre Dame, Tennessee, Boise, Indiana, Arizona State. Is that the next six?
And Alabama.
And Alabama. They would have played those teams. Those 12 teams were rewarded with the conference championship has meaning because you get a reward, and that is being invited to a New Year's Six Bowl. The regular season has meaning because if you have a good enough season to be ranked within the next top six, you get a New Year's Six Bowl. And then if you perform well enough against a really highly ranked team, you get an invitation to the 14 playoff. That's why I think this system works, is because every aspect of football keeps its value. The regular season, bowl games, and the playoff. Let's say Oregon plays Arizona State, they win, they probably in because they would still be undefeated. Georgia wins against, Notre Dame. They're probably in because they won the SEC, only had 2 losses, and had a really dominant season other than that. Texas, 2-loss team, only losses to a top 2 ranked team in Georgia. And then freaking Penn State. That's your 14 playoff. Those are your teams that are worthy of playing. Clemson shouldn't be in there. 3-loss ACC team.
I mean, I definitely don't mind the format. Matt over here pondering.
I don't think it matters. I think, and literally, you could say, get rid of the national championship anyway, right? If it devalues the whole regular season, which is the most important part of football, in my opinion, why even have it?
But that's my thing.
Well,
you can have a natty without devaluing the regular season.
Well, isn't it important? But I don't think you can, because now you're saying, well, Oregon doesn't care that they won the Pac-12 or the Big Ten or whoever, whatever conference they're in, because then they're vying for the championship.
No, it's not what I'm saying. It's because losses in the regular season don't matter to an extent. If Oregon,
but it still doesn't matter in that system, because once you get to that point, you're in.
But you have to perform well enough to get to that point.
Which is exactly how it is now. They just changed the directive of how to get there.
In that system, A, you have to more than likely win your conference, and B, you have to perform well enough to be ranked in the top 7
So you're
going to
have the conference champs and runner-ups is what you're going to have.
Not necessarily the runner-ups.
But
because
close to.
This year, Alabama is not the runner-up of the the SEC, but they still would have made it over the runner-up of the Big 12 or the ACC.
Right. So again, it's the exact same system. You're just moving the marks a little bit.
It's not the exact same system.
It actually is the exact same system.
No, it's not.
It is. You're doing conference champs then rankings. You're doing literally doing the exact same system.
No.
I don't know how you're missing this. It's literally the exact. You're literally just moving the markers.
No.
You are.
No.
You are. It's literally the exact same.
I would only have 12 teams in a conference, not 18. So you would play nearly every team.
I think that's great.
Every team.
Now, I have a question.
Oh, my goodness.
I have a question.
He's being me.
I have a question.
Really being me.
I have a question for you, Ian. What if we just stopped at the conference championship, right? That's your thing, and then the conference champions go play, and it doesn't matter what your ranking is beyond that because you didn't make it, right? Then we have X number of conferences. They play the games. That's the championship. Right? They earn their spot. And what about the point where, it feels like you're getting to a point where conferences don't even matter. Right?
That's what I'm saying. Mine does return meaning to the regular season and bowl games and the national championship. The regular season matters because you have to your goal is to make a conference championship to get an auto bid to the New Year's Six Bowls. That's what makes the regular season matter.
Mm-hmm.
What makes the bowl games matter is that once you've gotten there, you essentially have to make one of those New Year's Six Bowls to go to the playoff. So regular season matters, conference championship matters, New Year's Six bowl games matter, and then from that point forward is national championship. Right now, what you have is look at it from the Notre Dame. Conference championships do not matter because Notre Dame has an easier path than Oregon, who just won the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Regular season doesn't matter because Texas lost to the same team twice and is still in the playoff and could win it.
I agree that it devalues, but I don't think it makes it where it doesn't matter at all. And let's say Georgia
You
is
haven't
the
said
best
anything
team.
in a hot minute.
Let's say Georgia's the best team and Texas is the second best team as a hypothetical. If the only team Texas ever loses to is number 1, should they not be number 2 and not play again?
Depends on who they played.
But let's say they play 3,
okay.
4, 5, 6, 7,
Okay,
8,
but you
and they
have-
beat everyone. They're still number 2.
If nobody else is above them. But Oregon is above them.
Well,
Texas should not have the chance to play Georgia again because they've already lost to Georgia twice. They should never
don't think that
even
makes
be
any
in a
sense.
Texas should never be in a realm where they could play Georgia for a national championship because Georgia has already beaten them twice.
I still don't think that makes any sense. If Texas is the number 3 team, why would you just kick them out? Because they've already lost to the number 2 team or the number 1 team.
That's why they
Right?
don't
Like
deserve
Ohio-
it because they've already lost it. They had their chance to earn
But
it.
so when does the playoff start? At the beginning of the season?
Yes, essentially, you
Okay.
have to win your 12 games. I mean, not all 12. Okay, there's only one undefeated team, and that's Oregon. They deserve their spot.
So any team. So then, how do you pick which teams wins and losses matter to put them out? Right.
I'm just gonna go team by team, and I want you to tell me if you think they deserve
good
to be in the
Lord.
playoffs.
No.
It is going for a while.
No, I'm not
No,
doing that.
this is going
I'm not
too
doing
long.
that.
This is
Every
going
every
too
I
team
don't
there.
understand what point
Every
you're
team
trying
there
to make.
has had a good season.
But only a select few have had a good enough season to deserve a playoff.
Then win
spot.
your games and win the championship.
Can we get these men some hot cocoa? And
Do
some
you think
warm
SMU
blankets?
can win this?
Yes.
No.
You don't think so?
No. I don't even think I don't even think it should be in the realm of possibility that SMU can win this.
I don't think they'll win, but I think there's a 10% chance.
I think there are.
Why
hold
are they
on.
there then? They've had a good season. They've done well. They beat good opponents. Leave them in.
I think there's 5 teams in here that can win it. 5 max.
What, Texas, Oregon,
No, Texas can't
Texas?
win because they've lost to Georgia twice.
Texas, Oregon, Georgia.
No, Texas. No, yeah, you're right. So take Texas out of it.
I'm being facetious.
He is facetious. Texas is not going to win it, and they don't deserve to win it because they've lost to Georgia twice. Tennessee shouldn't have the chance to win it because they've lost to Georgia once.
I have a question for you.
This is why I said that the BCS would be better than what
Let
it is right
him
now
ask
because
the
it should be
question.
Oregon
that's
versus
okay.
Georgia.
It's okay. It's okay.
What? No, what were you going to say?
That's okay. It
No,
doesn't
too
matter.
late.
That doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Hey, you're too late.
No, we're not moving on to you ask the question.
Oh, good Lord.
I don't have a question.
You're lying.
Well, what were you going to say?
If Texas is the number 3 team in the country,
Yep.
even if we only pick 4 teams, should they not be in?
But they're not
They're not what?
the number 3 team in the country.
Why do you say that?
Because they're number 5.
Oregon is above.
No, they're
them.
number 5. They're number 5 in the seeding. They're the number 3 team ranked.
Well, AP has them number 3.
I'm just looking at
Okay.
the college football
Does-
playoff.
if
They're
Texas-
ranked 3. They're seeded 5th because they did not win their. They're the highest seeded.
Do you know this 2017
Non-champion.
UCF situation?
The rankings are wrong. And yes,
I know
do.
that they didn't get to play even though they were undefeated. That's all I know.
They did that in 2 straight seasons. They went undefeated.
Georgia goes on to the national championship against Texas, and Texas wins. Should Georgia be able to declare themselves as the national champions because they won 2 out of 3 against Texas?
Be allowed to?
Should they? Would you consider them?
No, I would not consider them.
Why?
Because if you
And I wanna ask you the same
that's not the
question.
championship game. You didn't win the championship game.
Exactly, because the first 2 don't matter now.
That's wrong. So does Texas
You
then
literally just-
hold on,
did
hold
he
on, hold
not
on, hold on,
just-
hold
Now
on. Wait,
you're-
I need you to think with the same logic you're using. And if you say the wrong answer here, I'm gonna freak out because it
Okay.
doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say Texas goes and wins the Natty.
Okay?
Who's the SEC champ?
Georgia.
But that doesn't matter.
I need you to answer the question.
The SEC champ is Georgia because they won the SEC. But
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. That game doesn't matter when Texas goes on to beat Georgia
No,
in the
it's
national
not that it doesn't
championship.
matter. Texas gets to say, "Look, I got a shiny trophy,"
Okay,
and Georgia
moving
says,
on.
"Look,
Do-
I got a shiny
if-
trophy."
But,
If
but
it's
would
Georgia-
you not see the flawed logic in the whole thing?
If it's Georgia versus Texas and Texas wins that game, should
you
Georgia
shouldn't-
be allowed to declare themselves national champion because they won 2 out of 3?
right now.
No, because they
That's
didn't
where
win the
it's
national
flawed.
championship. They didn't. They won the SEC champ.
Texas should have never had the chance
So
to
you shouldn't
beat
bring
them.
in anyone who's in a conference if they're not the conference champion. So it's going to be Notre Dame and the top 4 conference champions, and then
My point is,
top 5 conference
the whole
champions.
situation was I said that BCS would be a better system than what it is now. It would be Oregon versus Georgia.
I don't know.
If this goes on too much longer, I'm gonna start saying brain rot.
I mean,
So-
we don't have pick'ems this week. We've got like 3 games to pick, and it's going to be quick.
Got you
'cause
covered.
We're not even Pac-12. No, they're ACC. Cal, our game, and Army Navy. So it'll be just quick picks. My point is, I don't know what you're trying to argue.
Rich Rod.
I don't
Respect.
think there's a perfect system. I'm just trying to talk through the systems that we've thought about. I'm not saying that yours is bad. I'm saying that all you're doing is taking the exact same thing and just moving the goalpost around a little bit.
No, because
Are you not saying take conference champs and then rank teams and slap them together?
within a different format?
Isn't that what I just said? You move the goalpost,
But there,
shake it up a little
but
bit.
I'm not just shaking it. I'm not changing the seedings. I'm not doing that. I'm completely changing the format. There's only 4 playoff teams in my system, whereas this has 12.
Yeah, I'm saying and that's no different than this having 8 or this just having 4. They're the top 4. You're just cutting it down.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're not changing the system. You're just cutting it down.
I am changing the system by completely changing the format and the number of teams that would be in. Yeah, it's still called the college football playoff. That doesn't mean I'm not changing the system.
That's not why I'm saying that.
My point is, you're saying that if Texas and Georgia go to the national championship and Texas wins, Texas is now the national champion. The only thing that matters. But Georgia
who wins the national championship game? And again, that's not the only thing that matters.
If that happens and Georgia loses, do you think Georgia cares about anything that happened in the 16 games prior?
No, you're right. I think Georgia is going to take the SEC champion trophy and throw it away with the rest of them.
No,
Some
they'll put it in a
trash
trophy
can.
case and it'll be forgotten about because they lost to Texas after beating them twice.
I agree.
So do you think Georgia's going to turn around and say, well, this game doesn't matter and we're actually the
Yes,
champs?
if that happens, Georgia will wholeheartedly say to the NCAA, I should be the national championship because I beat them twice. I should be the national champion.
Why not go out and win again if you're so good then?
Because
This is what I'm saying. If you're having a
because you
championship,
can have a bad game.
then beat them worse so that they're out of it. Make it look like
They shouldn't be in the first place.
Why not? They've done well against
we're going
everyone
on too
else.
long. I know, we're going on too long.
I think we're going to disagree on this, and that's fine. But I think
You think?
I
You're
think-
gonna disagree? On
Yeah, we are.
I think we're going to disagree.
Nothing ever happens, guys.
What do you
here's-
think, Jit?
Let me just hold on. Let me just lay out very plainly
We don't.
what
we
I
don't
think.
need to keep going.
I
on.
think the top teams should play.
What is the top teams number? How many is the top teams?
Wyoming, Natty.
I don't think that matters.
How many is?
And again, I'm not taking a stance. I'm just
50,
saying.
50 teams are the top 50 teams. Let's put them in a playoff.
I think that's too much.
Okay,
I don't
so
know where the
then
line
make
is.
a number.
I don't know where the line is to get ahead of your question.
You haven't said anything. I want to know what your perspective
listen,
is.
Tyler, I just do you think it's unreasonable to generally say let's just pick the top few teams, have them play, and I don't think you should eliminate someone just because they lost to someone else earlier in the season.
If they've
or
lost
even
twice, they should be. One loss is one thing. 2 losses to the same team is a different thing.
Does it specifically have to be the conference
There's a
champion?
reason why Oregon was not in the playoffs last year, even though Oregon was arguably a top 4 team. Oregon lost to Washington twice. Washington earned their spot. Oregon did not. Georgia has beaten Texas twice. They earned their spot. Texas has not.
I'm just saying our event is getting kind of close.
What time is it?
And it's
Oh,
almost
5. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do our pick'ems real quick. We're going to disagree. Let us hear your thoughts. Sorry.
All right, it's okay. So let's go ahead
You're
and
apologizing to me.
You're wrong. I don't apologize to
Oh
people that
my
are wrong.
gosh. let's do UNLV and
Cal.
Cal.
UNLV.
You're third, not first.
I already went.
You're
You're late again.
Story of my life. UNLV and Cal. I think Cal could surprise some people in this one, but I'm picking UNLV.
Cal has been good in some games and then not in others. They've had a really good defense. UNLV didn't even show up against Boise, but I do think UNLV is a good team. So I'm going to pick.
I think they
UNLV
did
as
show up
well.
against Boise, but they were just outclassed.
So was Texas.
I pick UNLV.
Listen, just to that end, Georgia Tech took them to 8 overtimes, so maybe I'm with you there. Or put Georgia Tech in where Texas is.
Let's put Northern Illinois for Notre Dame.
I like it.
All right, next bowl game. There are only 3 happening.
Oh, well,
this
no,
week,
just
right?
it's not a bowl game. That's the only
Yeah,
okay. Ours, but Army Navy game.
Army Navy. This is one of the games of the year. I saw a record for this series for the past 10 years not too long ago. Army had the majority of them.
It's close, but it is Army.
I would probably take Army in a close game.
What do they have the spread at?
I don't know what the spread is, but
It should be right there.
Army -2.5.
Right,
close.
so they
No,
got,
no.
they got
No.
Army.
Sorry, -6.5. They got Army by a touchdown.
They got Army by 7, yeah.
I don't think it's that close, and I think it's Army. Sorry, you're late again.
You're third,
Not today.
buddy.
She ain't first or last, Tyler.
I liked what I saw out of Bryson Daly against Tulane. I'm going to go with Army.
Army.
All right.
All right, so
Now we got one more.
Now it's the big game in Frisky Frisco.
What a name. This is the
Frisky
first
Frisco.
ever Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl.
I'm actually kind of excited for it. We're supposed to be in a brand new stadium, although it was built for soccer.
You mean
And-
football?
Football. It's a brand new stadium, brand new bowl game, brand new opponent for the Mountaineers.
Never played.
Never played the Memphis Tigers. Memphis ranked 25th, correct?
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a closer game than some people expect, and I do trust Chad Scott to be our interim. But I feel like Memphis wins a close game.
Give me the Mountaineers.
I hate you. I hate
You knew
you.
that was coming, too.
You think Memphis?
I think Memphis,
And
although
this weirdos picking the Mountaineers.
I can see it going either way. I'm not going to lie. But regardless of the outcome of this game, I'm going to be at peace with the season, and we're all going to have a very Merry Christmas.
That's right.
I don't know about at peace. I'm gonna be a little sad till we get back to Milan Pushkar in August next.
At least we are in
next year.
Oklahoma State, man.
I don't know. It depends on how the team's mentality is going into this game. Could be better now that we're with the new coaching situation. Could be worse because I know some of the players were not happy with the situation. As weird as that may seem, I like Memphis. I think I'm going to go Memphis here. Oh, I don't know. Memphis. Sorry.
Like,
I'm
if
double thinking.
I could choose undecided, because it could go either way, I'd say that.
You did that once earlier this season. We'll let it slide.
No, I'm really hoping for the Mountaineers. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna word this as I'm really hoping for the Mountaineers.
Who does Pitt play? I don't remember.
I hope they lose.
So here's Toledo. If Pitt loses to Toledo and we win, we and Pitt finish with the same record, and that would just be fantastic since they started 7-0.
Man,
crazy.
Pitt has really given the season away. I love it.
Indeed.
Well,
wonder-
we said that maybe not immediately after we lost to them, but we did say that they are not the team that they started out as.
What is the spread on this game? I see you have
4.5.
4.5.
In favor of Memphis.
All right. And then I figure Memphis money line is minus 200 something.
-210 on the money.
I still think Memphis, but we should edit auto-tune in over that.
I don't know. I'm torn. I think Garrett is going to have a really good game.
I hope so.
He has nothing to lose.
Dude, he could have like 200 yards rushing.
This
Could
is
you
such
imagine?
a such a
Huddy-Tuddy
weird
with 180
matchup.
Hey,
receiving yards.
I'm going Memphis because I like Seth
Tyler.
Hennigan. Seth Hennigan's have a really good year.
If you think about it this way, a man with nothing to lose can go both ways. Think about it this way. He could do an absolutely great job because he has nothing to lose and he wants to prove himself, or he can do an absolutely horrible job because he has nothing to lose. If you have nothing behind you, you have nothing to fall on. Think about it.
That's some jit knowledge and wisdom. I'm still going Memphis. Our secondary is still the same secondary it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Seth Hennigan on the year has 3,208 yards, 23 touchdowns, and only 6 picks.
He's going to go for at least 260 on us, I feel like.
He's going to have a game. I think Garrett could have a game too, but just our defense, man.
Yeah, so I think the defense is what loses us this game and not our offense.
How many trick plays do you think are pulled out during the game? Because, bowl season is trick play season.
I mean, we opened the Mayo Bowl on a trick play, so...
I'm thinking
I'd like to see Nico in. I don't think they'd start him.
we have not seen the double pass since the spring game.
Really?
I don't think so. I don't think they've done it in a game where it was Traylon during the spring game that did the double pass, I think. Back to Garrett. Little Philly special. I want to see it. I want to see it, Chad Scott.
I think Jack Scott could pull it out. I wonder how many plays we just refused to run this year.
Not bubble screens.
Did we?
All
pull it
right, we're
out?
going to end it.
And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end it here. So,
Tell Matt he's wrong in the comments.
Please tell me I'm wrong. I feed off that energy.
and Matt, I want you to be as active with these people as Tyler is on Twitter.
Me when I'm wrong.
I cannot do that.
Dude.
Bro's a Twitter machine.
I love it. I love it.
Okay,
I'm addicted to arguing.
when Tyler's not doing homework and he's not with us, he's on Twitter.
He's on Twitter with us half the time.
He
too.
doesn't even sleep. he's on Twitter.
I'm the Twitter machine.
Dude, he's on Twitter. All right, so speaking of Twitter, make sure to go follow us on Twitter and follow us on every other social media, Instagram, like us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube, like and comment as well. So I think that'll wrap up the end of the show. So from me, from Tyler, from Matt, from Jit, see you on the next episode.
Goodbye, America.
Goodbye, everyone.
Long live Rich Rod.
Good night, gamers.